Hi, welcome back to X-tricated, and as usual, I'm DDB, and with me today is the other guy. I don't know his name.
KB. He's pretending to forget my name, but it's alright. He's the same person that forgot which show he was on.
Hey,
you know, when you have multiple brands that you are. he forgot which one he was trying to introduce. So I wouldn't even be surprised if he truly forgot my name, sure.
No, you don't forget his name.
He's an old man these days.
I just put my market a big. I deliberately, as I said, aka the other guy. So anyway, so KB, welcome everybody. You're welcome. So yeah, today I initially suggested that we should title this "Are There Lessons to Learn from Saudi Arabia?" But then KB came up with something that a title that I cannot just argue with. Right? He said, "Vision 2030: Lessons from Saudi Arabia." I was like, I couldn't argue with it. I wanted to argue, but I could not argue because it makes sense. Vision 2030: Lessons from Saudi Arabia. Anyway, so KB, let's talk about Saudi Arabia today.
Okay.
Yeah? And tell us, what is Vision 2030? I know of it, but please go. It's more like you're more interested in this topic.
Oh, I'm more interested in the topic.
By the way, I'm actually more interested than him because of one project, just one project.
He actually wants to move to Saudi Arabia. You're saying him like this.
I actually want to.
Okay, so first of all, Saudi Arabia, also known as the petrol states by some people, especially in the West, they see Saudi Arabia as the ultimate when it comes to oil. It's the fourth largest country in the Arab world, and it has a population of just 36 million people, just over 36 million people, and it is the second largest oil producer in the world, or has the second highest percentage of all oil wells in the world.
Guess what country is the first? Like, except you're knowledgeable, I don't think you're gonna get this right. It's Venezuela.
What do you mean by that? Everybody knew that it's Venezuela. I don't know.
Really? Some people do not know actually. That's why I say except you're knowledgeable. So I believe
that's the story for another day.
Yeah.
Because you can actually wonder why Venezuela is not where Saudi Arabia is today, and it's a combination of so many factors that we will not discuss here today. We are here for Saudi Arabia. So the median age in Saudi Arabia, median age is like the age below which, or the age where half of the population is above that age, and the other half is below that age. So the median age is 31.8. So
that's actually young.
It's kind of like a youthful
population.
Alright,
yeah.
But you know the median age of Nigeria?
18! I know it's very young. I wanted to say 20 something, but 18. Alright.
So as I've already mentioned, like the population of Saudi Arabia is a little over 36 million, and based on the topic we want to discuss today, I also want to give you a forecast of what the population might look like in 2030, and it's just going to be under 40 million people.
Yeah.
So what is Vision 2030? It's this very ambitious project that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has embarked upon, and they seek to reposition themselves in the global village as one of the leaders when it comes to innovation, business, and essentially environmental protection. Because one of the hallmarks of what they're trying to do in Vision 2030 is to basically look for a way out of dependence on just oil. Being a country like Saudi Arabia means that, okay, you have only one. It's not like they have only one source of income. They have other mineral resources like gold and copper, for example, but it's not that much. Understand? Their major gift is the oil, and they have leveraged on that for so many years. I think they discovered oil. They first discovered oil in 1938, and since that time they have used their oil to develop their country so much. and
Yeah,
they are
and-
forced to be reckoned with in the Middle East.
Yes, and you know that their GDP, right, is 1 trillion as of today, and most of that is basically due to the oil, right? But do you know that, like, for the past 4 decades now, they've been trying to diversify their economy,
Yes.
and all that effort has been futile. You get? So it has been futile. Why? Because of some reasons, right? That I
You
think
can just put them under the umbrella of cultural and
exactly,
social,
yeah, cultural or social. And like, one, I we're talking about this before starting to record, and we're talking about how Saudi Arabian citizens are really built on that anchor of Islam, and the fact that how did you even say it? Is the way you said it, KB?
They are more they are less likely to accept change.
Yes.
You know, sometimes when you have a very strong cultural and religious background, the likelihood for you to accept change is usually lower. You understand? And it's for that reason that this thing stalled for a while.
Yeah.
But now it seems to have gained a lot of momentum, and it seems like Saudi Arabia is at a point of no return. They have already set everything into motion. They are in.
Yes.
I think I will call that phase 2 right now, because we are currently in the 2021 to 2025 phase, and a lot has been done, which we'll discuss.
Yeah, a whole lot
later on
done.
in this video.
First has to do with the Neon project. We talked about investment into other industries outside Saudi Arabia, and the fact that they actually like receiving investment, and a whole lot of things are actually happening when it comes to equality when it comes to people owning businesses, whether the male or the female gender,
and especially the youth also.
Exactly. So a lot is really changing, and Vision 2030 has been a catalyst, really a good one, by the way. So yeah.
So like I mentioned earlier, Vision 2030 has roots basically in the fact that they want to diversify from oil production. But I think, why would anyone want to diversify from oil? I mean, oil is wonderful business, right?
Yeah.
But then it seems, based on recent times, it's not almighty like it used to be.
It has like
shelf life.
Yeah, it has a shelf life.
So I mentioned to David earlier, during this whole Russia-Ukraine crisis, Saudi Arabia was one of the countries that basically stepped up to supply oil to Europe, based on the fact that Europe had basically banned Russia, or they first of all reduced their dependence on Russian oil.
Yeah.
They stopped buying, like they didn't stop buying it, they just reduced it, and then all of a sudden they banned them. Saudi Arabia was the country that basically stepped up, and Saudi Arabia was the major supplier to the Asian region.
Exactly.
So they stepped up and started supplying to the European region, and Russia also saw an opportunity there.
I said, okay, fine.
And then they said,
let's take the market of
what basically
Saudi
happened was
Arabia.
like a trade swap.
Exactly.
So China is the number one, or was the number one destination
Oil.
for Saudi Arabian oil,
Exactly.
followed by India. Within that period, Russia decided basically that they were going to
Capture that market.
capture that market by even selling oil at a discount price.
Very highly
And
discounted price. By the way.
So they basically stole India and China from, and remember we talked about India's population
Yeah.
in the last
Episode.
last two episodes,
Last two
right?
episodes, yeah.
And you know what a country like India, the impact a country like India can have if you have good trade relations with them.
Let's not even talk
And-
about not just India.
And then you now have China
China, yeah.
So two countries
That's
with
two
over
countries
1 billion.
With
1
over
billion
2
people.
billion, over 2 billion people combined. That's
Yeah,
like
2 billion combined.
over a quarter of the world population.
Yes.
Imagine.
It's more than a quarter of the world population.
Yeah.
So you can just imagine the impact. So Saudi Arabia definitely knew that they left a lot of money on the table. But then based on maybe alliance,
Yeah.
they had to fulfill
Some
their-
orders actually.
They had to fulfill those orders.
Yeah.
And at some point they even had to, and it's mind you,
They,
it's
they
not
actually
like,
lost money. Oh. They
it's not
actually
like the
lost
demand
money.
was actually good. It's
Yeah.
not like the demand was good, but they had to meet up and they had to, just supply. But they ended up losing their own markets in Asia in the process.
Yeah.
And to try to mitigate that problem, they had to even cut the oil production that year, and the USA even took offense to that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, USA and Saudi Arabia are allies. So USA took offense to that and said that the policies that they just brought, the slashing of oil production, was a pro-Russian policy, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, it was going to affect Russia positively, but then it was also going to affect Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia are looking out for themselves, because you cannot come and get into another person's problem and then make their problem your own problem too. You can help them out, but then don't make their problem your problem, right?
Yeah.
So that's what happened. Well, who would have known that thing will even happen? Because Vision 2030 came into play in 2016.
Yeah, exactly.
Would they have even foreseen Russian invasion? You understand? Russian invasion of Ukraine. They couldn't have foreseen that.
Well, they wouldn't have foreseen that, but I think there's a reason why they did that. As we said, they wanted to diversify. Yeah, you understand. But then as well, they knew that their reliance on oil needs to come down. You understand? So,
because as it stands, if we exclude the net exports of oil, based on Saudi Arabia's current consumption, based on Saudi Arabia's current consumption, they have just about 227 years till their entire oil wells dry up.
Yeah.
That's at least for the ones that they call proven oil reserves.
Yes.
You understand? That's the ones we know of. And quite similarly, Nigeria is about 234 years or 238 years. I can't remember the actual figure. And
is that 221?
Ours is more than theirs.
Okay.
Ours is more than theirs. So, but it's a little bit close. It's similar, and we are just talking about refineries now.
Just imagine.
in the current Nigerian parlance, they play.
Well, anyway, yeah. So the 2030 project, Vision 2030. I'm really excited about this because, as he said earlier, I'm not actually joking about this. I am really thinking of relocating to Saudi Arabia. So before now, right, when it comes to tourism, Saudi Arabia used to make a lot of money from taxes earned when tourists come for, or let me say, the largest religious gathering in the world is the Hajj.
Yes.
You understand? And when that happens, during that period, what period of the year is it? Towards the end of the year that it happens? It fluctuates.
It actually changes because it works based on the lunar calendar.
Oh, okay.
The Hebrew calendar is more of moon cycle rather than solar cycle.
Oh, okay.
Understand? So it changes, but it's usually in the Islamic month of Zulhijjah that it takes place.
Alright. So during that period, millions of people come to Saudi Arabia, and during that period, restaurants, hotels, talk about anything you could use to actually entertainment centers, recreational centers, and all that. These millions of people actually use spend money.
Entertainment centers, because most of the people coming there at that point are coming for worship. But you talk about maybe places like restaurants, places of cuisine, you understand?
Hotels,
shopping centers,
exactly,
hotels,
especially shopping centers. People used to really spend money, right? Invest money, buy some things.
We're Nigerians. We know what it's like to go for Hajj and come back.
Exactly. During that period, Saudi Arabian government used to take tax from these businesses after Hajj, right? And that has been a source of income, right? But now in the NEOM project, right? So the NEOM project has different aspects to it. We have Trojana. Trojana is basically a mountain resort. Yeah, mountain resort. You understand?
Or a mountain city.
A mountain resort, because it has a lot there. It has a tech center, it has tech hubs, it has entertainment centers, it has a ski park. So it has hotels too there. So that's Trojana, right? Then we have the line. The line is a 500 meter in height. Then it's also 175 kilometers long from the Red Sea down into Saudi Arabia, into the land, right? Then the width is 200 meters wide. And then guess what? The walls are going to be mirrored right?
Yes,
by each side it's going to be mirror. So it's going to be mirroring you as you're coming to the city. You're going to be seeing a big mirror. Right? That is the second one, the line. Then we have Oxagon. Oxagon is basically an industrialized, basically a Silicon Valley version, right? But it's in the shape, the city is basically in the shape of an octagon, right? It has eight sides to it. Now that is where you see people, like it's an industrialized area, by the way. Tech is going to be there, a whole lot of businesses, especially industrialized businesses, power plants, where you have, let's say, the Tesla plant, for example, Gigafactory, for example, can be there and get versions of that to there. So now that is Oxagon. Then we have Sindala. Sindala is basically a luxurious island where rich people go and enjoy. It's really luxurious. Then Russian, I don't know of Russian yet. It's another project.
It's still on the way.
Yeah, it's still on the way. It's still coming. So now, if you look at this, right now, this is just tourist centers, and guess what? Trojena is going to be hosting the 2029 Winter Games.
Yes, they are.
You understand? Yeah, they are ski resort, right? It's going to
Winter Olympics.
Yes, Winter Olympics in 2029, and that is huge. You understand? That is that's huge. And
speaking of sports, Saudi Arabia has invested a lot of sports lately, from local sports to international sports. You know, he is a motorsports fan, so he probably watched the first Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Exactly. And they're actually having a second. It's actually running this year. They're actually having a track. Yes. I think it's early this year, or I think late. I can't remember. But anyway, they're going to
the more normal people.
MotoGP has actually included their track too.
He's about to geek out.
I'm not. I think that's the end.
For the more normal people, you're more interested in football.
You know of Ronaldo.
You know what just happened with Ronaldo. That's it. It's not just a signing. It's not just a signing by a football club.
It's really
a signing by the entire country.
Exactly.
Because I think before Ronaldo signed
before then, Messi is actually an ambassador for Trojena.
Yes, he's a tourism ambassador.
Yeah, tourism ambassador for Trojena.
So aside from signing Ronaldo, you already have someone
Messi.
The other high profile.
Exactly.
You know, depending on who you are, we don't know where you rank Ronaldo and Messi, but we can actually agree that Messi and he doesn't get higher than Messi and Ronaldo.
Exactly.
You understand? These are the two top athletes of our generation. And Ronaldo got signed by Al Nassr, and based on you could even see the popularity of the club increase as Ronaldo joined.
Exactly.
You understand? The Instagram page of Al Nassr had 800,000 followers,
in less than 1 month.
And then all of a sudden it has it's almost 13 million.
Exactly.
It's about 12.9 million if I'm not mistaken. He hadn't even played a match when it hit 11 million.
11 point something million. Yeah.
You understand? So that's it's like that in itself is a tourist attraction.
Yeah.
Not just physically, but then also eyes are now on the Arabian League.
Yeah.
People who are loyal fans to Ronaldo are now watching the Arabian League, even though it's not as developed as the competition rather is not as hot as the European leagues. I mean, you could see the last match, Ronaldo scored 4 goals, and
everybody
and was feeling himself.
And by the way, now that even comes to mind, right? I feel Messi after he's done with his contract with PSG. I think he has signed a new one, if I'm not mistaken. And I think after this new one, I think he's not going to go to US. He's going to come to.
Yeah, there has been speculations. Inter Miami in US are interested.
Yeah, they're interested.
But then also Al Hilal. They're also interested. Al Hilal, they are Al Nassr's rivals, basically.
Yes.
So they're basically going to rekindle El Clasico.
Exactly. In Saudi Arabia.
In Saudi Arabia. So why are they doing that? It's still part of this Vision 2030, and that's because Saudi Arabia is also planning to host the 2030 World Cup.
Yeah.
So they are trying to increase. Yeah, they are planning to bid for 2030 World Cup. It's
and if they get that will be huge.
Yeah, so it's
huge.
It's part of a plan to just improve their football standing. Basically, if you have 2 of the top talents in football playing in your league, why would why would you be ignored, right?
Exactly.
You understand? Like, that's the reasoning. And there are also a lot of other sports events. I mean, take the WWE, for example. Me and David are very big fans. The Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund has bought out the WWE. We know of how, or we that watch WWE know how big an event the Crown Jewel is.
Huge.
You understand?
Yeah.
The Crown Jewel events every year, it just seems getting better and better.
It's more like the.
They are always proud of it.
Yeah, it's more like the WrestleMania of
Saudi Arabia.
Of Saudi Arabia.
Yes. So it's a really big deal for them there, and them acquiring the WWE in totality is also another huge step.
It's big.
Saudi's Public Investment Fund has also invested in
Meta, in Amazon.
I'm still talking about sports.
You're even talking about sports.
Newcastle United
in England.
A top flight team in England.
But it's not just Newcastle in England, yeah.
Yeah.
The other clubs,
but then Newcastle is the most notable
prominent one. Yeah, exactly.
I was actually really excited for that because, like, growing up, I used to see Newcastle as one of the top teams. Newcastle actually used to be in the top 4.
They should be
when I was a kid.
They're actually one of the
But after a while, things fell apart for them. I don't think they've falling out of the Premier League, but then
they have.
Okay, they have. Okay, so they battled their way back in.
I think they went down 3 times. I know they still came back.
Okay. So is a team with a very rich background, basically cultural background, has a very strong fan base and all that. Let's move on. So you know why they are interested in
now that's
sports like that.
That's sports. Let's go to entertainment.
Not entertainment. I thought we were even going to talk about tech, basically, because of their large shares in places like Amazon and
exactly.
They actually invested in Meta, but they pulled out. I think they've just cashed in.
Yeah. Amazon, there was Meta. They have Microsoft. Right?
Yeah.
They have Microsoft. So like
Uber,
even in the Apple self, they do have
Uber, Apple, different companies. So all they are trying to do is to
the NEOM project,
very very large shares,
not small ones. By the way, NEOM, that's not the end of NEOM. NEOM has its own studios too, NEOM Media Studios. It's actually working together on big movies now. That's NEOM Media Studios.
Could we see some
another
challenger for Hollywood?
I don't know where you can, whether you've seen certain. I've forgotten the movies, but I know I've watched more than two movies that I've seen in NEOM Media Studios. You get, and some of them were in partnership with Netflix, some of them were in partnership with Apple, some of them with Eurasa, and some of them with
and mind you,
Paramount.
This is not a finished product yet.
Yeah, this is just the beginning.
It's not yet a finished product, so it's more like they are testing the waters right now.
Yeah,
they are testing their capabilities, and aside from that, they have invested a lot in education. Understand? They've invested a whole lot in education.
Yeah, because there's one issue with when it comes to Saudi Arabia, they do not have skilled, like they have a significantly low amount of skilled labor in the country. So what they are doing right now is not even the skilled. Is this skilled labor? What would I even say? Artistic.
Not necessarily skilled. Actually, it's more like artistic.
Yeah, artistic basically. You understand?
So now they invested. They are sponsoring people to go abroad to learn things like filmmaking.
Exactly.
You understand? To learn things like arts, to learn things like even culinary skills,
architecture.
I mean Arabians are on a whole level when it comes to architecture, but come on, do you know the amount of humility it would take for an Arabian to sponsor other people to go out to other countries to go and learn architecture? You know that they really really want to be it. They want to be that guy. So they have that. They are sponsoring people to learn like I mentioned, culinary arts, because obviously a lot of tourism. They're expecting a lot of money from. They're expecting a lot of money from tourism. And come on, as a tourist, you have to eat food now.
Yeah, exactly.
So not only are you going to enjoy their local cuisine, but then you'll still be able to enjoy all sorts of international
cuisines as well.
Despite being in an Arabian country.
Yeah, and apart from that, we have the health sector and also the technological sector. What energy sector, by the way,
Talk about the health sector first.
The health
I know
sector.
you're excited about the energy sector.
Okay, so the health sector is, I think they are basically still in Trojana, right? They're still in Trojana. That's where they're going to be based, right? And they're going to really, it's more like sci-fi movies. They are investing a whole lot when it comes to that, and even Oxagon is going to really help with certain drugs. What's it called? They are setting up plants to fight certain cancers. They are really working on. Have you seen this pod? The pod for incubating babies?
No, not yet.
Incubating babies. They are doing that there in Saudi Arabia.
Interesting.
You understand? You guys.
And one notable thing I think you didn't mention there is that their healthcare system is now almost completely digitized.
It's automated. That's basically it now.
They basically have healthcare plans now for almost every single person in the country, even those living in rural areas.
Yeah.
And well, people living in the rural areas aren't that much, because about 84% of the country's population are in the urban centers, especially in the capital. And also their research during the COVID-19 pandemic was top notch. They produced they were the number one country when it came to COVID-19 publications, research publications in the Middle East, and I think they were number 14 in the world. I think they're number 14 in the world when it came to.
I didn't know that.
Publications
I really did not know
COVID-19.
that.
991 research papers came out of Saudi Arabia, and 84% of those were from actual Saudi universities. You understand? It's a product of investment in education. You understand?
Yeah.
They have also invested in tech. You understand? They want to invest in things that are valuable for the future.
Yeah, like the Neon project is basically tech automation. Basically every single thing about it. The Sindala luxury island is basically automated one. The Oxagon, for example, is basically automated. Like every single thing they're going to be making, whether they're going to be coupling cars. Well, already Saudi Arabia actually couple cars for India and China, right? But apart from that, they are trying to automate the whole process, right? You understand? So that it's not just using labor now, they're using technology, and they want to use the Oxagon to do that, right? So then we're talking about the health system, making sure that and also they're actually inviting people to actually invest.
Yes.
You understand? They actually start up tech companies in Saudi Arabia. You understand?
That will bring me to the next point I want to make, is that ease of doing business in Saudi Arabia. Ease of doing business.
They've actually gone up 60 seconds.
All-time highest.
Yes.
Like, do you know that to register a business now takes you just 3 minutes? Bam, you're done. 3 minutes. Think about that.
And 3 years ago, let me say, as at 2019, there's a rank, ease of doing business. We said Nigeria was at 133, if I'm not mistaken, 134.
Yes.
Right? They were close to Nigeria. Guess what? Now they are 62nd.
Ease of doing business.
From medium to very easy to
Very
easy.
easy.
Not very easy to 62nd.
Yes. And as a result, we've seen a massive growth in the amount of SMEs that are starting up in the country.
And guess what? The businesses that are being up, the SMEs that you're talking about, the tech businesses that are coming up, women are I think you said they've exceeded the
expectations that they wanted for 2030
for women to actually own businesses in Saudi Arabia.
So I think right now 38% of women
in Saudi Arabia,
38% of the SMEs rather in Saudi Arabia are owned by women. You understand? And in at large, the workforce, the labor market, basically 33% of women
are working.
33% of the labor force rather is made up of women. So that's part of what.
And guess what? That was the plan for 2030.
Yes.
And they've already exceeded
it with some change. You understand?
Yeah.
So it's part of the social reform, basically.
Yeah.
That's the social reform section of the Vision 2030.
Yeah.
They want to build a more inclusive society where women and especially youth, because in most, let me say, in some Asian or even,
I think it's Asian. It's an Asian thing. It's an Asian thing.
Okay. you have people that have strong cultural background. You understand? You see that people that are marginalized the most are youth and women.
Yeah.
You understand? You can even relate to that if you're a Nigerian. You understand? You can think about how many politicians are women, how many people actually run for political positions, how many of your lawmakers are women.
Yeah.
You understand? How many women are in our workforce, how many women start up businesses like SMEs. You understand? So they have improved in that aspect. And aside from that, they also created a volunteer portal in their government's website.
Yeah.
So they are investing in you, especially the youth now. The volunteer portal is mainly for the youth. They are investing in you, and then they are also giving you a platform to give back to the community.
Yeah.
You understand? So a lot of people, 84% of, is it 84%? About over 80% though. Over 80% of their youth are interested in volunteering, volunteer work of all kinds. You understand? And that will help significantly, especially when it comes to their climate action portion of the Vision 2030, because they even have two sections. They have the Saudi Green Initiative, which is just within the country, and then they also have the Middle East Green Initiative, which extends to even other countries. So they are not just trying to make their own country better when it comes to climate conditions. They are also trying to make the entire Middle East
better.
There's
this what's the project that they have with Enowa and a company, a water plant company, trying to purify water in its purest form, something like that, if I'm not mistaken. And that is really going far. And they are, as we said, producing green energy as well. So
they want to achieve net zero carbon emissions by 2030.
By the way, the city that we talked about, the line that has mirror, right, is going to be 100% without emission, right? Because you're going to be able to travel from one end of the line to the other one, right, without entering a car, just a train. And the train is automated, and the train is solar energy.
Solar
energy. So so that's a wrap when it comes to Vision 2030.
So
lessons from Saudi Arabia.
Are there any lessons to be learned?
Yeah, actually. Are there any lessons?
Are there any lessons?
We're going to answer that in our next episode.
Yes. We are going to follow this episode up with an episode on the ways that Nigeria can diversify its economy.
Opportunities.
The opportunities.
Opportunities for diversification based on the potentials that we have and based on what is already on ground.
Yes. Yeah. And not just diversification of the economy, but also improving our social and
every single thing, basically.
Social and cultural now. Our societal standards, basically, our standard of living.
So enjoy this, and we hope you enjoyed this, and we hope you're also going to enjoy that episode. Alright, so that's a wrap from us. KB, later.